let's go ahead and jump into the news. First item on the list, there was a Sony State of Play today with announcements. I don't want to say it was a lot of announcements. It really wasn't a lot of announcements, but we saw some trailers. We saw a trailer for a really weird clash of black and white versus color characters in a game called Humanity. Looked really, really strange. Let's see. We saw a game called Wadum from the makers of Katamari. We saw a new game from Techland called Arise. Civ 6 making its debut on PS4. A lot of big news. So we're going to just go through. Kotaku put this rundown together. Everything PlayStation announced today. Oh my gosh. And yeah, they just kind of and we'll watch some trailers as we go through here. This is going to be, I don't really have a ton of like structure planned for this. I don't want to hit with the biggest news from this yet, but so yeah, we hit on Humanity. Let's actually pull up that trailer for Humanity. I should have linked to this because it was just it was a weird way to open the show. It was kind of like the cold open. Humanity PS4 trailer. So yeah, there's a PSVR mode included in it. But yeah, these huge crowds of people run at one another, and I guess you're trying to get them from one point to another. I don't know if it's supposed to be like a puzzle game, a sorting game. But yeah, so this is how the show opened with this trailer. Really, really strange. But it looks cool. I don't know. It piques my interest mostly because I have no fucking clue what it is. Running off of high dives in the sky. And now they're fighting one another with... Do they have lightsabers or something? Or like glowing batons. They've got guns. Yeah, anyway, you get the basic gist of it. Really fucking weird game, but so that's how they open the show. And then they got into the I accidentally screwed something up over here. After this trailer, they showed the Call of Duty Modern Warfare story trailer. Which had previously leaked earlier in the day. It had been posted on Reddit and then made its official debut during the State of Play. Let's actually watch this entire trailer together. I watched this State of Play while I was working, and so some of this stuff I didn't get to pay very close attention to. I'm really intrigued by what Activision's going to be doing with this story. Because, you know, their whole thing is like, we want it to be realistic, we want it to be gritty.
A business trip. Let's talk. How?
Because of this poison, my people have no in war.
Help us track it.
If you stay, we can help. But if you stay, you fight.
Or not.
The invaders of my country, God for life. We live like this every day. Any further complications and we're at war.
So it seems like you're like kind of behind enemy lines doing some clandestine work for people who are being oppressed. You're trying to stay quiet because you don't want to create an international incident.
No? How about you, Captain? Are you gonna let them die?
I don't know. The trailer looks great and the story seems somewhat compelling, but I don't know. I've been saying this since the day that you know, it came out that Call of Duty is going to take a more serious approach to this. Like, I just don't know if this is the game for it. Like, at the end of the day, it's going to be all about big explosions and cool set pieces and you know, epic moments in the gameplay. And I'm like, I just don't know if they can bring it to ground to make it say what they want it to say, or if they even know what it is that they want to say, except for, war fucking sucks.
You are the target.
But this, I'm willing to give it at least a chance. And then obviously it ends with hey, pre-order it now so you can get these cool fucking perks and stuff. Yeah, I'm willing to give it a chance to be good. I'm really, it's probably the first Call of Duty campaign I've been interested in playing in years, because I think they're doing at least a good job of setting up what they're wanting to do, and I'm just interested on whether or not they can execute on that. But even in the trailer, like some of those contrived moments where the guy looks at you and he goes, "Captain Price, it's up to you," or "What are you going to do? Are you going to let him die?" And it's just like, I don't know. I want narratives like this to not be so on the nose. Obviously, in situations like this, the storytelling should do a good enough job of making me understand the weight of what I'm being asked to do, without having to point out that there is weight and gravity towards it. But I don't want to draw too many assumptions off of a trailer. The voice acting seems really good. It's really fucking cool to see Captain Price back in a game. I think the premise of the story is really interesting. This kind of unique bond between Captain Price and the second kind of main character, whose name is Farah. So yeah, we'll see. The game comes out in October. That'll be interesting. Let's get to another different piece of news from the Call of Duty announcement that has been a little bit more ill-received, and I think rightfully so. They also announced that there's going to be a special ops survival mode included in the game that is going to be exclusive to PlayStation 4. It's going to be a timed exclusive to PlayStation 4 for the first year of the game. So for the first year that the game is out, only PlayStation 4 players are going to be able to play the special ops the special ops survival mode. And that's rubbing a lot of people the wrong way. And I think it's rubbing me the wrong way too, man, because Call of Duty has made a really big deal this year of being like, we want to bridge the gap between platforms. They're coming out with the cross-platform play. That they beta tested that over the weekend. It looked really cool. You're playing based off of your controller type rather than only Xbox players can play with Xbox players and PS4 with PS4. And they made a really big deal out of saying like, hey, we're getting rid of the timed exclusivity, the month wait from when a map releases on the PlayStation 4 to when it ultimately comes out to Xbox. And like their messaging has been surrounded by this like central theme of unity. We want to unify these platforms. And so for them to like sell out on this one mode, and not only sell out and say, oh, it's exclusive for 3 months or, a reasonable amount of time. It's like, hey, you aren't going, if you were playing on Xbox or PC, you will not be able to play the special ops survival mode probably until the next fucking Call of Duty is out, and nobody will care. It just, I don't know. I think you've won so much goodwill with your fans with the crossplay, with the new 2v2 mode, with the dropping the exclusivity of new maps and expansion content. You have so much goodwill if you're Activision at this point. Why squander? Okay, I understand why you would squander that, because I'm sure PlayStation pays a lot of money for this exclusive content, but because without crossplay, you got to incentivize people to play it on your platform somehow if they own multiple platforms. And so yeah, I understand why you would do it practically, but I just think from like a goodwill standpoint, Activision, I feel like most of the conversation around Call of Duty has been really, really, really positive for the first time in years. Remember that. You guys remember a few years ago, I can't remember exactly which call, I think it was Advanced Warfare. Or maybe it was Infinite Warfare. Was the most downvoted YouTube video at up to that point in time. To go from there to the way that the conversation has kind of spun, at least among the general public, about Call of Duty Modern Warfare. I don't know. I think it's like night and day difference the way that people perceive this franchise right now. And I think it's all because of cross-platform play and all because of them trying to break down those barriers. So for them to artificially erect a new barrier that just makes no sense and make it so unreasonably long. We have a common theme on PvA radio where we're like, we want to sit in on that boardroom and just see, was there literally anybody who sat in there and thought, hey guys, maybe this wasn't a good idea? Like, was there Captain Obvious in the room? Or was it just, all right, and Sony is offering us, next slide, that much money for it to be exclusive? And everybody was like, all right, no words from the peanut gallery. Like, take the money and run. Seems like a ill-advised move. I'm using that word because I think boneheaded might be too strong, but I might think boneheaded. So yeah, another interesting tidbit from the Sony State of Play. They and this was something that they did in the first State of Play with a lot of focus on VR. They also, introduced some VR titles in the second State of Play. And then they announced the LA Noire, the VR case files, was out today on PlayStation VR. And then they did a small VR sizzle reel in the middle of this. And I thought that was really interesting as well. Like, Sony has such a bad track record with other platforms and peripherals that exist kind of orbitally around their main console. We're talking, PlayStation Eye, PlayStation Move, PlayStation Vita, in terms of how they support it. And I think it's interesting that PlayStation is constantly coming back and touching VR and saying, look, we're still here. We're still invested in this in some way. And we still want to make it seem like we're putting a lot of resources into this. And I think they're really holding off because they got big plans for this technology moving into the PlayStation 5. And that within the first 2 years, I would argue, of PlayStation 5, we're probably going to get a new iteration of PlayStation VR. I think there is just so much sunk cost into this now. At this point, Sony has to will this thing to last. And I just think VR sales are probably really, really, really soft. Like, what does it take for a VR title to be successful in terms of units sold? It can't be that many. Like, people who are making LA Noire, the VR case files, I'm sure the people at Rockstar aren't looking and being like, all right, we're trying to sell 1 million copies of this. But what is that number to them? Like, all right, guys, let's sell 100,000 copies. Do you think it's even lower than that? Like, I honestly don't know. Like, we can probably find the sales number for VR, but do we know anything about the engagement numbers for virtual reality? And I think that that's a fan base of the people who are into it. They're into it, and they want to play as many experiences as they can. But is Sony coming in and supplementing any money that maybe lost in sinking time into developing these games? Like, how sustainable long term is what they're currently doing with VR, I guess is what I'm asking. And I just think it's interesting. I think it's clear that Sony has a future plan that's already well in motion. And that's why they keep coming back in these events and touching VR and saying, hey, we're still here. We're not PlayStation Vita-ing this thing where we just pretend like it doesn't exist. So, LA Noire, the VR case files, and a VR sizzle reel. There's a Medieval demo that is out now that you can play, and if you participate in that, you get, I think, an exclusive in-game helmet that can be worn when the full game releases. Another announcement for Civ 6 it'll be making its debut on PlayStation 4, and then they showed off this cool. Well, I don't know. Cool may not be the right word. PlayStation 4 limited edition Death Stranding bundle. This was the short little 30-second trailer they showed. This dude seems pretty legit. I know he's supposed to be the villain in the game, but he just gave us a fucking, not just a PlayStation 4, guys. like, let's rewind a little. Think about how big this thing's got to be. Hold on. Keep coming back here. Like, just think about the scale of this. He launched those tendrils into the air. That PlayStation controller has to be about 40 feet tall. So, I don't know. Is this a giant ass PlayStation 4 Pro? Let's see. They got some images down here we can look at. It's got the cool handprint. I love the black, white, black alternating aesthetic of the console as well. The translucent gold kind of paying homage to BB is pretty dope as well. Is this an etching into the touchpad, or is it a sticker or like a decal? Oh, if it's an etching, that's cool. I feel like with other games they've used decals on the touchpad, and that has not been as cool. I don't know. I don't. This is definitely not my favorite of the PlayStation 4 Pro special editions. You know, the navy blue. What was that? The however many sold, 20 million sold or whatever. Was really cool, or 100 million sold. I can't remember what the number was. Maybe hold on, let me look that up. I don't want to get that wrong. Was it 50 million? PS4 Pro 50 500 million, is that right? Oh, because it was 500 million PlayStation units sold. That's right. So it's this one. The Spider-Man one was really dope too. Yeah, I like the console. I like the connection between the console and, you know, I mean, between the controller and BB, but I don't know. I don't like that there's anything really visually that connects the two thematically, except for the fact that, you know, if you played Death Stranding or are aware of Death Stranding, you know they're both connected to Death Stranding, but the controller looks so different from the console. I wish there was something tying them together more than just, the name's etched on the front here and it's etched here as well. So that's going to be $399, releasing on November 8th. So you can pre-order those now, I believe. Then they showed an after party trailer, which I'm excited about that game. We've talked about that game already, coming out later in October. And then they announced that MLB The Show 19 and The Last of Us Remastered are going to be October's PS Plus games. I'm pretty pumped. I'm a huge baseball fan. Normally I buy the MLB The Show game, and for some reason this year I just never pulled the trigger. I was waiting for it to go down to $20, but now it's going to go down to $0 on PlayStation Plus. So I'll definitely be picking that up. And then, of course, The Last of Us Remastered, because the way they ended the show was with a trailer for The Last of Us that I am not going to show. And in fact, I'm going to remove a bullet point from the show notes because it is spoilery. Because I know a lot of people are at the point with this game where they're like, stop showing me shit. Don't want to see anything. Don't need to see it. Get that shit out of here. Let me just play the game. And so I paid attention to the trailer once. I didn't like particularly intently watch it or anything like that, because I'm in that boat too. I don't really want to know. And in fact, I'm disappointed that I watched the trailer today because it showed me something that I really didn't want to see. I was interested, however, in the final frame of the video, because the final frame saved me from having to eat a very hot ghost pepper on the stream. And that was when they announced a release date. It is going to be coming out February 21st, 2020. I was a week off. I said it was going to be the 14th. It was a Friday, because it was a Friday. They released Horizon Zero Dawn on the 14th. I just thought it would be cool. But no, it's going to be the 21st. Coming out. There are actually 5 different editions of the game that you can pre-order right now, and we'll look at those here in just a second. But let's talk about the release date for a minute. It's been long rumored that the game is coming out in February, so there's no real surprise there. I think Ashley Johnson let something slip that the game was going to be releasing in February. There's been other leaks that have been substantiated. There are other substantial leaks that have come out in the past few weeks as well. So that's no surprise. I've been seeing a lot of people, though, going, oh, man, well, Naughty Dog doesn't ever hit the first release date. It's like they've been very, very cautious about not really giving any indication of when this game comes out. This isn't the same as Uncharted 4, where they announced a date way too early, then had to adjust and then had to adjust again. Like, this is not that instance. I think Sony is taking great care with the end of their generation. They're keeping their cards close to the vest because they want to make sure they're not having to push these things out. I imagine this game is probably pretty well ready to go gold at this point. A couple more months of polish on this thing, and then it'll go gold sometime in January. So I don't think that we're going to see this date move. And knowing that they changed the calendar for Death Stranding to accommodate The Last of Us, I think gives me even more confidence that they're going to hit February 21st, 2020. So yeah, I'm not in that camp. Not in that camp of they're not gonna hit that date. It's gonna be moved again. It's too important for them to hit that date because they need to have that few months before the hype for PlayStation 5 starts, so that they can then rotate back and say, oh, and we've got The Last of Us ready for a remastered version ready for release on that as well. Interestingly enough, this will be on 2 PlayStation 4 discs. It's going to be the longest game in Naughty Dog history, so that's pretty cool. That is not what I wanted. I wanted to open this link, the blog, the USA, the PlayStation blog article. So this is where we have the editions outlined here. Let me scroll through, make sure none of the images are spoiled. Okay, yeah, we're good. So here's your first edition. If you pre-order, you get ammo capacity upgrade, crafting training manual, blah blah blah. In the full physical game, or if you pre-order it digitally, you get the digital version, obviously, and then you get an exclusive avatar for The Last of Us Part 2. It's Ellie's tattoo. So that's just your standard edition if you pre-order with the pre-order bonuses. So. Here is your special edition, so you can pre-order the game. And I don't know, man. I kind of want to purchase this game physically because I really want the steelbook. I'm a big steelbook guy. I love a good steelbook. But yeah, you get the steelbook, you get the 48-page mini art book from Dark Horse as well as your the content from the previous version. Love how these images are hosted on Flickr as well. The collector's edition, it includes your steelbook, the 12-inch Ellie statue that, I don't know, just from this picture, I don't think it doesn't look all that great. It doesn't look very, the face especially doesn't look very Ellie-like to me. But you get the 48-page mini art book, you get Ellie's bracelet, you get the lithographed art print and thank you letter, which I think is really fucking cool. You get the set of 5 stickers that includes 2 Naughty Dog 2 Last of Us Part 2 and Ellie's tattoo, and then you get the 6 enamel pins as well. And you get this cool box that if you're like me, you'll never throw away if you were to get it. So that's the 3rd version of the game, and that retails for $169.99. So that's $170. The Ellie edition is $229.99. It comes with everything included in the previous, plus the 7-inch vinyl, the logo pack, which I guess is, logo patch, which is this right here, and you get this sweet ass backpack with the pins on it as well. So that is your Ellie edition, and then there's a digital deluxe edition, which is $70, and that gets you that gets you all this in-game content. All this digital content, the theme, the avatar, the mini art book, the digital mini art book, the digital soundtrack, those sorts of things as well. Which one do I want? That's the question. Which one do I want to spend money on? I really honestly think I may just pre-order the physical special edition to get the art book and the cool ass steel book. How much is this? Ooh. That retails for $79.99. $79.99 for that version. I may do that. I may buy the game physically, which I never do, ever. Although I really don't want to play it on 2 discs. I understand one will probably be an install disc and then the other will be an unlock disc, but I just don't want to deal with it. I just want to download it and be able to play it as soon as it comes out. But our long wait, the long night is over, guys. We have a release date for The Last of Us Part 2. I don't have to eat a pepper. February 21st, 2020. I'm so excited. My hype cannot be measured for this game because I'm just certain that the game is going to be good. Overall, I saw a lot of negative reaction to the Sony State of Play. A lot of people kind of disappointed. A lot of rumors were swirling. We were going to get Batman news. We didn't get Batman news. A lot of smaller games that people care about. People didn't seem to really care about or connect with. And what people have to understand is like, look, these things aren't fucking E3. And Sony has been very, very measured in letting you know that not to expect E3 levels of announcements at these things. Or E3 volumes of big announcements at these games. I'm sorry, at these events. Like, look, they could have just come out and showed me a 20-minute countdown and at the end gave me the release date without even showing me a trailer for The Last of Us, and I'd have been like, all right, that's good. Yeah, I'm satisfied. I don't know, man. As gamers, we just need to, just be happy. Be happy about the shit that it is a fucking random-ass Tuesday in September. And we got not one, but 2 events where announcements were made. Just fucking chill, all right? Just fucking chill. Sony State of Play, though. A lot of cool stuff announced. We get a release date for The Last of Us. February 21st, 2020. Need to go ahead and put in my PTO. Oh, no, it's a Friday. I don't need to put in my PTO. Oh, my gosh, guys. I get every other Friday off, and I can do the math right now to figure out if I'm going to get that Friday off. Let me pull up my calendar. All right, so February 21st, I may be switching Fridays off if I... Oh my gosh, I'm working that day, but it's okay. I can switch my Fridays off. I'll switch my Fridays off so that I can be off on the 21st, play The Last of Us Part 2, not get spoiled by any candy-ass internet trolls. Just shut myself down, and play that game all weekend. May not be a PvA nightly rundown that night. We'll see. So that was Sony's State of Play. Let's move on to Inside Xbox. Let's talk really quickly about Sony's State of Play format. They said they were going to come back with a new look, and I think there was a little bit of different visuals that they threw in. But at the end of the day, I thought it felt very similar. Disembodied voice, It had the little scrolling slide to tell you okay, and now on to our next announcement. And it just feels really disconnected. And I think that's a part of the reason that people feel disappointed in these is because it's so focused on the actual announcement itself. And when those announcements don't hit or they seem underwhelming, it just magnifies it because there's no cool shit in the middle of it to make up for it. And so I don't know. I still feel like from a tone perspective, the State of Play doesn't really hit for me. I think there are more interesting things that they can do with this time that they're making the Sony fan base stop and pay attention. And so I was a little underwhelmed by because they were like, we're coming back with a visual overhaul or a new look or however they put it a couple days ago. And I don't know. It still felt very same to me.